The number one reason I use Flutter is the fact that it's a cross-platform framework, meaning you can make both mobile apps as well as web apps using just a single code base, which is amazing. But then it begs the question of how exactly does that work if you're dealing with different screen sizes? So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you about responsive design, and just to illustrate this, I'm going to use YouTube as an example. So if you take a look at how the YouTube web page behaves as you change the screen size, you can see it's got the video playing on the top, and below it, it's just got a list of recommended videos and also comments. But as we drag this out, you can see the size of the video expanding, but also if you stretch out enough, the recommended video list is going to pop up onto the right hand side panel. So this is the perfect example illustrating responsive design. So let me teach this to you by jumping into the code. Open up a brand new Flutter project and let's delete everything below the main function so that we can start this from scratch. So let's create a stateless widget called my app and let's do the usual setting up. So I'm going to create here a home page in a separate file. And let's use a stateful widget for the home page, and inside let's just create a blank scaffold. So if you save this, then we should just have a blank app. So there's two different ways of approaching responsive design. The first way, I'll just show you a quick method of doing it, and then the second one, I'll show you a more structured approach to it. So I actually covered in one of my widget of the day series about media query, and so that's what we're going to use for this first approach. You can get the current width of the window that you're currently dealing with. And so if I just print this in a text widget in the middle, you can see the current width is 500 pixels. And if I drag this around, you can see the width is changing there. So with this number, we can decide if this is a phone or if it's long enough to be a window, like a web page. So just to illustrate this, right? Let's say background color depends on the current width. So if the current width is less than, say, 600, then let's give it a deep purple background. Otherwise, let's give it a green background. So if I save this, right now it's just purple, but as I drag this longer, you can see it turning to green. Now I just used the number 600 pixels for the mobile width, but if we do a quick Google search, you can see here the common mobile screen sizes. The width is going to be the smaller number here, so you can see they're about like 300, 400 for the width of a mobile device. So each device is different, right? So you can just choose your number appropriately. But for this project, I'm just going to say 600. So on a very basic level, this is how you can deal with responsive design, dealing with different screen sizes without making things overly complicated. So if you're just looking for a nice quick solution, then this is how you do it. But let me also show you the second way to do this that's a little bit more structured. So I'm just going to delete everything and start from a blank scaffold again. And I'm going to create a separate folder called responsive. And let's create a Dart file just called responsive layout. And so let's create a stateless widget called responsive layout. And let's create a couple widgets here. So I'm going to call it mobile body and desktop body. If you want to get really into the weeds, then you can also include a tablet body as well, but I'm just going to do mobile and desktop. And let's create a constructor for this. Now the key widget to use for this method is called a layout builder. And so basically this just tells us about the constraints of this layout. You can see in the constraints, it has all of these different options. So let's just say max width, and then we can do the similar check as we did last time. So constraints.max width, if it's less than 600, then let's return the mobile body. Otherwise, return the desktop body. And let's create two files here. So mobile body and desktop body. And just so we can see the difference between the two, let's just give it a background color. One purple and the other one green. We can now come back to the homepage file, and in the body, we can start typing responsive layout. There it is, and it's going to require us to fill out these two widgets. So we created these just then, so my mobile body and my desktop body. Should be purple at the beginning, and if it goes longer, then it will be a desktop. Awesome. Now this number 600, obviously you can change and fine tune to be the exact number that you want. probably good practice to separate this out into a file. Let's just call it dimensions. And let's just create some constants here. So I'm just going to call it mobile width. And then if you need to add any more dimensions in here, say like the tablet width or the desktop width, you can add all the values in this file. Makes it a bit cleaner. Okay, so you can see using a layout builder, this second method is a little bit more structure to it. Now let's just keep going and create a similar web page to YouTube. Let's just put a text in the app bar just saying mobile for this file. And it looks like the default color is blue. So I'm just going to come to the main file real quick and change this theme to be purple. There we go. Okay, and in the body, let's create a column and a basic container of height 250 and add some padding to it. Now you can see if I just drag this width out, the height, I specified it to be 250, so that's not going to change. So I'm going to wrap this container in a aspect ratio and let's specify it to be 16:9, which means we can get rid of this height. So let's imagine the top one is a YouTube video and underneath we've got the comment sections and the recommended video list. So I'm just going to create a list view, which I also made a separate tutorial for, so check that out if you need. But I'm just going to create 8 containers here. Awesome, now let's copy this whole build method and copy it into the desktop file as well. But let's change the app bar title to be desktop. Now when it becomes a desktop, we want to add a side panel on the right hand side, right? So I'm going to wrap this entire column in a row. And so I've got the first column and I'm going to add another column. And let's fix the width for this column to be 200. Oh, because this is in a row, we should add an expanded widget here just to fill up the rest of the space. Okay, now if I drag all the way out, it's going to be a desktop, and so you can see the little sidebar is now added on when we drag it out. Cool, so this is exactly how the YouTube web page behaved. From here, you can just add your padding and decorate it up now. Cool, so that's it. I'll link the code to this one below so you guys can take a closer look at it. But I hope you learned a little something about responsive design. Play around with it and let me know if you have any questions, but other than that, thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Laters!